So with me here, I have my guest, Frida, the Tate family. Please welcome to my life. How are you today?
We're doing good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I mentioned today, I mentioned that we're going to have some stories. So today we having the Tate family who's going to tell us about their journey on how they started their family and now it's a big family. So
Yes.
uh, it's a big happy family.
Yeah.
So we want to learn. We want to hear from you. We want to get some inspirations as to how to gain or to have that beautiful family. So before we get into it, I would like you to introduce yourself to everybody watching and
Hello, viewers. Thank you. Thank you so very much for joining our live. So I am so excited to tell, my story. I love to talk about my journey. So my name is Frida, and I am originally from Zambia, but I live in Canada right as of now. This is where I'm living with my family. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And should you have any questions at any points during my live, please go ahead. Feel free to ask the questions. But let me just put this out as a disclaimer. It has to be
yes,
with reason because
yes,
it's
you
not,
did.
I'm not
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I know. Guys, it has to be within context. What is it to you and how do you interpret it? Is it no, that is something that you did? What prompted you to do it?
Okay, like where do I start? Where do I start? Earlier on in my life when I was younger, uh this is okay. This is not throwing shit, and just a disclaimer, this is not looking down on different races and different whatever, but
Mhm.
I am just talking from my own perspective, from my own
Yeah.
experience, and from my own preference,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
early on in my life, I knew what I wanted, and what
Yes.
I wanted was to get married to a Caucasian man.
Yeah.
And so, uh, if it seems superficial to you, please just bear in mind that it's my preference. Like this,
Yeah, it is. And actually, there are people that just want that. Like, I do have
yeah,
friends that they just don't want a black person.
yes,
And at some point, me as well, I was like, oh, no, I don't want a white person. So
yeah,
it's
oh yeah,
according, and then they called me, oh, you're racist. I said, no, 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 I'm not a racist. It's
yeah,
my preference. So it
yeah,
is your preference as well.
yeah,
So
def-
everybody has a preference. You
yeah,
don't have to do this because my friend is doing this. So if you go for something that you like, something that you've always wanted, I think it's even when you get it, you keep it because you know that this is what I've
yeah,
been wanting. So
exactly,
please, yeah.
exactly.
So, mm-hmm,
Yes. And so earlier on in my life, this is
mm-hmm,
exactly what I wanted. I knew what I wanted. And, just like anything, you may be starting a business, you may be thinking about a business. You have to channel your energy in that business, in that idea of a business. And that's exactly what I did.
mm-hmm.
Look, let me just throw this out. I was born and bred in Zambia, but guess what? I have never dated a black brother. I look at them as my brothers. And so my preference was for a Caucasian, and that's what I worked on. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is it.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah. And so I never lost my focus. My focus was here. I was never attracted by things that are happening here because
mm-hmm,
my focus was here. I was focused on the goal. And
yes,
therefore, I just went with my focus, and that's what I did. And I got what I wanted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So yeah, so tell us a little bit about your the process. You channeling your energy in the right direction. So what direction did you take?
Yeah. So if you are not yet following my page, go ahead and follow my page, because on this page you can ask all the questions, and you will hear the stories of, like, even sometimes I'm free to talk about my dating journey.
Yeah,
I Even my first boyfriend was white. My second boyfriend was white. Even, yeah, and this one that I'm married to is white.
yeah,
Therefore, yeah. So you will hear,
yeah,
like, where my focus was. Yeah. And so that's,
yeah. So
I for it. Uh for the first, for the first guys, it did not work out the way I envisioned, the way I thought it would. But that did not deter me from focusing on what I wanted. I wanted
mhm.
this, and that's what I did. So
Yeah,
I could have met anybody else
yeah,
that I was, like, locally, because
yeah,
at the time I was living in Zambia, right?
yes,
I could have gotten anybody that I wanted. Look at
yes,
me, I'm pretty, right? I am
of
beautiful.
course.
Yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But anyways, my focus. Okay, so I just want to say, to give an encouragement to the young ones that are watching, to the single ones that are watching, that, look, if you are serious about what you want and you
Mm-hmm.
focus on what you want, you can get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I decided that, because I was so tired, I had all these people that would approach me, like, the other race,
Yeah.
the Caucasians. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was just so tired of the recycled, because Lusaka, I know it might be a big city
Steady.
in
Yeah.
Zambia,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is, when it comes to dating, it's not, because everyone knows everyone. If you see what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you find that, okay, you were talking to this person,
They say, do
and
you hear what they say? They say Lusaka is not for relationships, it's for business.
I know, yeah, definitely, definitely, I believe that. I believe that, because the thing is,
Yeah.
you might be talking to this one person, and
I
and
came to the
then
laundry room, they follow to this bodies. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then this person just comes from nowhere and says, "Oh, so you know that person? That person actually dated my aunt, dated my
Yeah.
cousin," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Really? Yeah, yeah."
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I was like, "Okay, I can't, I can't, I
I
can't."
have to make a plan.
Yeah. Therefore, I went online,
Mm-hmm.
even when online was not a like a common thing in Zambia at the time. Remember, I've been married for 20 years. And
Yeah.
so we are talking about 20 years ago.
No,
So
it wasn't common at
no,
all. It wasn't,
no,
because even
no,
now there's a lot of like I was saying the other day, there's a lot of misconceptions. So a lot of people are even failing to come up because
yeah,
we're still not there yet. Yeah.
it's
So
not
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I did not have examples like you guys have. I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you a story. I
Mm-hmm.
never had no examples like this. I
Mm-hmm.
was actually, basically, I was on my own. Like, whatever I did, it was on my own. And
Yes.
I had to learn everything on my own, because
Yes.
I didn't have anybody to teach me and coach me, anybody to talk to about this. And uh, along the way, as I tell you the story, you find you'll find something that's so funny that I came across. So, anyways,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
remind you. When I get to that point, I will remind you. So
Okay.
I met quite a few people on there. And so, uh, and actually, most of them had good jobs. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I met an engineer from Sweden. I
Mm-hmm.
met an engineer from New York,
Yeah.
and I met uh, uh, like two guys from Australia, and I met my husband who's a dentist. Yeah. So I decided I, I did not hide when he was talking to me. He was like, "Oh, okay. Like, have you met anyone like on this side?" I told him the truth, the honest truth. I said, "Yes, for sure. I have met some people online, like on this side." And I haven't made my decision. I haven't decided as to who I am going to get married to. So
Mm-hmm.
whoever comes, flies all the way to Zambia to see me, that's
Mm-hmm.
who I like all of you. That's who I am going to get married to. And
And I
then,
like that. I like that. You know what? Let me say something about that.
mhm,
Because there's a time when somebody becomes like these people that are searching, yeah. There
yeah,
comes a time where they don't even want to negotiate at some point,
yeah,
thinking that, oh, maybe if I let this person go, I'll is the only person. No, do not devalue yourself. Like
mhm.
you
Do
have
not
to
sell
make
yourself short.
yes, you
Yeah,
don't. So you have to stand your ground. This is me. This is what I believe in, and this is what. So, like when you said, if you are serious, you have to fly and come see me right here.
yeah,
Okay, that's a demand, and it's something that struck me to say people just don't say, okay, this person has made me. Oh, here I am. Maybe if I lose this person, I won't see another one again. Yeah. So
yeah,
please go ahead again.
yeah. So keep in mind that I met this person who is now my husband. I met him like maybe uh like maybe 2 weeks after joining, and then we chatted for 3 weeks, 3 months, three or so months, and then he decided that he wanted to come and see me. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So he came over. He
Yeah.
Yeah, he saw me. Remember, actually, I want to mention this to you.
Yeah.
You see the ring that I'm wearing. My
Mm-hmm.
husband did not propose.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
interesting. Please tell us about that. Yeah.
yeah. My husband did not propose. Over
Mm-hmm.
the 3 months when we were talking,
Uh-huh.
like in those 3 months as we were chatting, he said like, okay, I would really love to get married to you. Like he
Uh-huh.
hadn't even met me,
Yeah.
and yeah, like, so how many kids would you like to have, and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, I just remember I was 20 years old at the time. I was 20 years old. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. A 20-year-old is me is just
There
thinking,
is that.
oh,
Yeah.
like, we are just playing and blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah.
anyways, he came over. Uh, I remember he arrived on March 27th, 2004. And then from there, he was like, after a few days, he's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, wants to meet your parents. My
Mm-hmm.
parents at this time, my dad was alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were living in Kitwe. I was living
Yeah.
in Lusaka because that's where I was working.
Okay.
And so we started like the tour, like in Zambia. So I took him to Mfuwe, I took him to Victoria Falls, I took him to Siavonga, all those good, nice
And
places.
I would like to mention this. You were only 20 years old. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Like at 20, a lot of young ones don't know what they want at 20. especially
Exactly.
back home. At 20, a lot of young ones think, oh, I have a lot of time ahead of me. I'll meet
Yeah,
somebody later. So let me just, play around, and maybe a serious man will catch me later. Like a 20-year-old most times may not think of the way you were, like may not have a mindset as yours. I'm
yeah,
not excluding myself. I didn't think like that at 20 when I was 20 years old.
yeah. I know.
Yes.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
and this is this is what I always love to say to 20-year-olds who think
Mm-hmm.
that they have their youth, they have their
Yes.
beauty, they have
Yes.
all these years ahead of them.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Like if you are going to meet someone, meet them
Mm-hmm.
when you are at your prime, right?
Yes.
And that's exactly
Exactly.
what I did.
Because at that point, you're gonna meet the right person. Because if
Yes,
you meet somebody when you are at a rushing phase, it's most likely that you get a wrong person
I
because you just
know
want whatever
because
comes your way.
yeah, because
Yeah.
you are racing after time, you are
Mm-hmm.
racing against time, and
Mm-hmm.
out of your desperation, you are just going to take anything.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's why it's very good. Like if you are young and listening or watching, and just take this advice, like don't think that, oh no, I'm young, as long as you're doing the right thing, you know what you want, you can go for it.
yeah. And then to people that are about my age, or they are in their 30s, they are in their early 40s, it's not too late for you, my
No,
sister,
no, 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 it's not.
brother. You can meet, you can still meet somebody that loves you. Trust
And you
me.
can still um not just get whoever comes.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
even in painful. No.
And just because I'm 40, even this person who, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can still do the right thing. You can still do
Yeah.
the right thing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
look at me. Uh, I'm in my early 40s. Like, I am really thinking, like, you know, God forbid, but if anything happens and I was back on the market, guess what? I wouldn't just go for anything and anybody just because I'm desperate. And no, I wouldn't.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's a good piece of advice, because a lot of people, when maybe you say 35, they start right, oh, I'm old, 36, 37, 38, 40. I'm like, oh, I'm old, guys. There's nothing like that.
yeah,
It's about you having the right intentions and knowing
yeah,
what you want,
and
as long as they are not unnecessary demands. Or
yeah,
because at this age, there's no way you can be saying, looking at certain things to say, I want something like this, something like, you just need to reduce on unrealistic expectations.
yeah. And another thing that I want to throw in there, like before I lose my train of thought, at 20, at 20, that's when I got married. And guess who else was getting married at that time? My boss. My boss was how old? Was 50 years old. And she met someone online, and actually a white guy from the Netherlands, and they got married. So, yeah. So it's never too late. It's never too late. That's all I can say. And so I continue with my story. So, like I said, my parents, this was when, before my father died, because they lived in Kitwe, I lived in Lusaka. And so we went to Kitwe, I introduced him, and my mom, being an old school, uh, it was funny. This is what I was actually talking about earlier on. My mom was like, huh? You met where? You met online. And my mother called it, because my mother is not educated. Okay, so my mother called it, uh, uh, didn't call it online. She said, "This man that you met on the computer is, wants to marry you." Yeah, that was funny. It was funny. Like when it happened, it was so funny. And this guy was so serious. Like, they started doing the negotiations, and at this point, like, he did not know anybody in Zambia. So what I did is like, my cousin was going out with this other white guy who had, like, who lived in Zambia, was basically Zambian, but he had British descent. So I introduced the two, and like, so he acted like the father to my, my then boyfriends, internet boyfriends. And so, yeah, they talked, and my parents came in, and they were talking, and then they said, "Okay, this is it. We want us to get married." And yeah, that's how, like, we got married from Lusaka. So this time we are in Kitwe now to visit my parents, because my husband wanted to meet my parents. So he met my parents, and then a few days later we went back to Lusaka. And remember, he had been saying, or we had been discussing, that we are going to get married 6 months down the road. That's where we were planning to get married. But guess when we actually got married? 9 days after he arrived in Lusaka. Just 9 days. Okay, because he liked the way, what he saw. And he was like, "No. Besides, there's other people, other men that you are talking to. They will come in and they will soup you."
And they'll get you from me.
Yeah, they'll soup you off to
They'll
your feet.
steal. Oh, nice. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. There's
So
somebody who knew what he wanted. Yeah.
he knew exactly what he wanted. And like, as we were driving back from, I guess, where we went, like, remember we were doing the Zambian tour. And
Yes.
so he was like, "No, I can't go without my Nas getting married. Let's go get married. What do we have to do in order for us to go get married?" I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, okay. I have never
Mhm.
been married. Therefore, we are going to find out together." So
Yes.
on Monday, we went to the Civic Center, and we found
Hmm.
out that, basically, we found out that actually what they do is, when the people register to get married at the Civic Center, they
Hmm.
have to put them on the notice board or whatever, because, like, they just don't want people to come and claim that, "Oh no, you are
Oh,
married
this
to me."
is my husband. Like the way it has been happening of late. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Hmm.
But as they said, there is an exception to every rule. There
Okay.
is
Yeah.
also an express thing that you can do where you pay a lot more money. And then, yeah, so that's exactly what we did. We went for
Wow.
with the express provision, and we
Hmm.
paid extra. And then,
Hmm.
yeah, so they gave us a date that, you can get married on such and
Yeah.
such a day. And that's how we got married.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's just a wow. Yeah.
yeah. And remember, at this point, this is the reason why I showed you this ring. Because
Hmm.
we didn't even have rings.
That's not right. There was no time for ring
There was
shopping.
no time to buy rings. So
Wow.
what happened after we got married?
Hmm.
Then we went and bought us, like some wedding bands.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah, just the wedding band. And so he said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like in Canada, there is this place, place where they sell
Yeah.
like beautiful, beautiful rings.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'll do is when I get back to Canada, I'll just buy you a ring from there. But in the meantime, here, let's just wear these wedding bands. And that's,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Just
yeah,
wow. Like it's so inspiring because sometimes people say, no, it's too early. You don't know this person. How
yeah.
do you know? So how were you sure that he's the right person? How were you so sure that you could marry somebody you just met like basically 4 months ago? Yeah.
I know. That is a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because sometimes, for you to know anybody, you have
Mm-hmm.
to see how they interact with their family, their friends. Are they good? Are they polite? Are they? I had none of that. As a
Yes.
matter of fact, what happens the day we were getting married? There's this one workmate. Like we were really good friends with my
Yeah.
workmate, this workmate of mine, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like he was also engaged, um, ready to get married. So I told him like, "Oh, look at me! I'm getting married today, and I'm so excited. I'm here, this and that." And then
Mm-hmm.
he said, Frida, like this man that you're getting married to, because remember, this guy, the
Mm-hmm.
workmate of mine,
Mm-hmm.
actually knew my ex-boyfriend. So
Ah.
that is so nice. So you're getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Dad are getting married. I'm like, no,
No.
I'm getting,
And then he's like, what time did the switch happen?
I know. I'm like, what in the world are you talking about that person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And
Yeah.
so he's like, no, this is a person that I met online. And he's like, what?
What?
And like, you know nothing about this person. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
honestly speaking, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just know his name. I
Mm-hmm.
know that he's a doctor, he's a dentist, and that's pretty much what I know about him. It's like, no, okay.
Oh my goodness, that you crossing the ocean.
So what he suggested was like, oh, okay, the least you could have done is, where he works, the name of where he works. Go and Google it.
Google. Yeah.
Yeah, to see if this place even exists.
Yes.
I went and I Googled, and
Mm-hmm.
guess what I found? That actually this place exists, but it was in a different town and it was a different doctor. I'm like,
This comes me now. Ah.
we went to the civic center, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, I'm done with this, and like I am I am not going through with it. And like because he was coming from the hotel. So
Yeah.
he came from the hotel with the taxi to the civic center, and I came from work with my printed, like I had printed out this stuff like this.
See here, you were lying to me.
Yes. So he wanted to hug me and kiss me. Like I just showed him the papers. I'm like,
Frida the researcher. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I know. Peter the researcher was not much of a researcher at that time.
But
Yeah,
again, it's very good. Like the people that are doing online dating, like in the West, it's very easy for you to put in a name of somebody and you find their details. very,
For
very,
sure,
very
for
easy.
sure, for
Just
sure.
put in their names, whatever, everything comes like like a book, like you're reading a book.
Yes,
So
and
yeah,
in this age of social media,
it's
it's
even
even
worse.
actually gotten easier because
Easier.
all you can say,
Hmm.
if they are professionals and they don't like to be on TikTok or Facebook or whatever,
They're on LinkedIn. Yeah.
they're on LinkedIn, because that's where you find professionals. And yeah, if they are out there and they, they like social media, you chances are you'll find them on TikTok or on Facebook or just stuff like that.
Hmm.
Today it's easier to find out.
Yeah.
I had no idea how I could. So what I did is I typed in the dental practice that he said he was running, and
Hmm.
that dental practice, there was a different doctor and it was in a different city. And so I went, like when I went to the civic center, I'm like, oh, okay, you lied to me. You lied to me.
Hmm.
Therefore, we are not getting married here. We are not doing it.
We are
So,
done right here. Yeah.
so he laughed. He laughed. I'm like,
You're even laughing.
am I laughing? Am I laughing? Yeah. So he explained that actually his practice does not have a website, and this this practice that I had printed out the papers for was actually in a different city, and that's a common name for a practice. Yeah.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. It actually made sense to me. It made sense to me
Hmm.
because the same name
Hmm.
of his practice,
Hmm.
you can even find it in Indola. You can find it
Oh,
anywhere. You can find
okay.
it in the UK. You can find it all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the explanation made sense to me. So
Hmm.
okay, I went ahead and we got married. And then
Yeah.
yeah, the next thing, like he was going back to Canada. I was staying in Zambia, and I remember my sisters, because I'm second from last, so I'm almost,
Almost Kasuli like. Yeah.
yeah, Kasuri. So yeah, my big sisters would look at me and like, you are brave. You signed away your life to this. Have, has anybody ever left you with a marriage certificate in your hands? And let me tell you something. What the marriage certificate
Okay.
from from Civic Center, it's so
Technical issues
short.
from her end.
But I mean,
We're having technical issues from her end. Yeah, guys, sorry for that. Sorry. Frida, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I don't know whatever happens. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So
Hey,
where
Monique,
was
I can see you. Priscilla, I can see you. Muzo, I can see you guys. If you're here, please just say hi. We acknowledge your presence. So yeah, Frida, you can go ahead. Sorry about the break, guys. Mhm.
Yeah, so my sisters were laughing at me, like, okay, what you have done is,
Hey, Sharon, nice to see you. Thank you for being here.
yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, like, he, because remember, we
Mm-hmm.
actually got married. We didn't have a ceremony or anything, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he went back to
Yeah.
Canada because he was the only doctor at that practice. And so he
Yeah.
went back to Canada, and he did this thing, and the plan was for him to come back, because obviously plane tickets are not cheap. Like a
No,
return
no,
plane ticket is not cheap. We are talking
no.
over $2,000. And
Yes.
so, like we had talked about him going back to Canada, do some work, and then he comes back like say 6 months down the road, and because he knew that he left the wifey, therefore he came back 2 months down
Mm-hmm.
the road instead of 6 months. Yeah,
So
yeah.
what were you telling him? What were you telling him for him to be making some quick decisions? What were you
I
doing?
don't know. I don't know.
Eh,
maybe
what were you doing?
maybe it's my plan.